Okay, so after removing your tube off your machine, we're now gonna try to close each end to complete the square. Okay, there's two ways you can do that. You can either make crochet the ends or sew the ends. Okay, and you've seen this many times in other tutorials, but to those who have not, what you want to do is take the side where you had the beginning of your tube. This is the actual working yarn right here, and the waste yarn. And what you want to do is try to get that flat and get the other end, or the center, or the other side, I'm sorry, the other side of the tube that's across the beginning side. And you will take the two first rows here, and you're just gonna crochet it like slip stitching. But what you don't need an additional yarn for this. All you need to do is, let me redo it again. Take each side, slip stitch, then you take the one on this side, slip stitch, go across and take the other side. Make sure you don't miss any stitch, because if you do, once you take off the waste yarn, you're gonna have some drop stitches. Okay, you're just gonna continue that. Left side, then take one from the right side, just doing slip stitches. Okay, so that's how it will look like after closing it by crocheting. Now if you want to do hang on, let me do a few more of these. Okay, so now you can see it better right there. It's pretty. Now if you hate crocheting and you don't want to crochet it, what you can do is use the same, take a needle. You can also sew it. So take your yarn needle, use the same yarn as your working yarn. Of course, I'm just going to use something different here so you could see it better. So right from this end where we started, what you're going to do is same thing. Take the first two. Okay. I would double it if I were you for the first couple. First pair, I mean. Okay. And then go to the second pair. So it's not going to be as pretty as when you crochet it, but you won't really see it after you're done sewing them together or connecting all the squares. Okay. All right, but for sure this is gonna close your end without drop stitches. Okay, let me see how it look like if I do more. There you go. It's showing more pattern as you go. See, like that. So it's not that bad. Okay, and you're not gonna see it that much because you're gonna be using the same yarn as the working yarn. All right, but since I'm gonna continue crocheting the end, I'm just gonna remove this, and I will see you again after I've closed both ends. Okay, see you then. All right, I decided to show this part to you before closing both ends. So this is how it looked like after crocheting. This is just one end, and after you've crocheted the last stitch here, the way to lock this is use the remaining yarn string of the working yarn, yarn over, and pull the yarn through, and just pull it, and and that's locked already. And after we remove the waste yarn, we could secure it even more by sewing. Okay. All right, so before I do that, well, since I'm here already, let me show you how to remove the waste yarn. And I'm sure most of you know this already. Okay. All right, so you just grab the last row of the yarn. The first row is a little hard because you have to pull it off the tube. But the next few rows will be easier because it'll come off automatically. I try to save my waste yarn because I know I'll be doing more in the future. So don't throw them away. Oops. So what I just do is just roll them into my fingers like this. Just to get them off. See, it's easier now compared to the first row. So make sure you check that each stitch has been caught on your crochet. This looks good. Okay. And then you just wanna, with your yarn needle, you just wanna make sure you secure this end of the tube and hide your remaining yarn. Okay, that should be good enough. Just weave through your tube, the end of your tube, and just pull it enough so you can hide it. Don't pull it too tight. Okay, there you go. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. So I hid the yarn. Okay, I just weave through this part of the tube. Okay, so now we're gonna close the other end. Okay, I'm starting to see the square. It's actually looking more like a little bit of a rectangle for me, which is fine after doing 42 rows. So now we do the other end. Make sure you pull the side and try to get the other end here, the other side. Okay, and you're gonna grab the first 2 stitches. Okay, they're opposite each other. Okay, so you're gonna do the same thing that I showed you earlier, and I'll come back to you when this is done. So this is our finished square made by Sentro 48 pin machine, and also made with weight category 4, so it's a little big actually. If you use the 22 pin, this is what it would look like. Big difference. So for kids, maybe I would use the 22 pin. And for the 22 pin, I did 18 rows, of course, with waste yarn on each end. And that's with the weight category 4 for the yarn. For the 48 pin circular knitting machine, again with the category 4 weight, I use 42 rows. If you're also going to use a 46 inch, which is usually 46 pin, which is usually the Addi, I would use this we use 42 rows. We're just gonna reduce like 1 to 2 rows, so it's not a big of a difference. What made a difference, and I will show you, is when I used a lighter yarn. This is a weight category 3, so it's lighter compared to the 4, the heavier yarn. Big difference, right? So if you're making a big project, like maybe a shawl or a cardigan, or maybe a poncho for your kid, I suggest looking for a finer yarn so it's not so heavy for your child or whoever's wearing it. Also, I noticed when using the finer yarn, which is a number 3, I didn't have any trouble with the machine. It was so easy. It was smooth. Even if I use a drill or one of those, not the drill, but the machine itself automatically. So it's easy. Even these, I use a fine yarn. I actually use the mandala yarn. And they are amazing. I know I gave you so much numbers and rows and settings. I will type this up and make sure it's included in the video, so you can just maybe screenshot it or pause it while you're trying to make your settings. Okay. So for this particular yarn, weight category 3, it's a lighter yarn, I only made 30 rows. Okay, so this is one sample. I'll try to make more samples for what else you can do as far as your 3D design. Let me pause this and I can show you more. So let me show you how to create the flower. I'm sure most of you know how to make this already. I decided to use 2 colors. Of course, the more contrast in colors, the better. So this is what I'm going to use. I had made a tube with no waste yarn. 5 rows of the center of the flower, for the center of the flower or the bud. And then 25 rows for the petals. Okay. So what you're going to do first is make sure that you tie up the ends of your working yarn where you join the 2 colors. Excuse me for the background. My birdie. I'm sure some of you have met him. Has decided to be loud today. The day I record. I think he wants my attention. Or his dad's attention. Okay. Alright, so that's good. So what you're gonna do first is cinch the end where you have the end that you're gonna use for the bud or the center of the flower. Cinch it as much as you can. Oh my god, I need lotion. All right, grab my yarn needle here. Birdie, quiet please. Okay, so we're just gonna, and there goes my husband vacuuming. Let me pause this. All right, I'm back. So I've already closed this end just by sewing it. And after that, don't cut the remaining yarn right away. You're gonna insert your needle through the center, turn over your tube, pull your needle, pull your needle and your yarn. Okay, leave it like that. Set your needle aside for now. Then you're gonna cinch the other end of the tube. Okie dokie. I never realized how it's so easy to work with this type of yarn, you know, the lighter yarn, the weight category 3, with your circular knitting machines. It's just unfortunate that there's more of the thicker ones in the market than the lighter ones. Or if there are, they're very thin. And I don't want that. Okay. Okay, so after you cinch this end, take the 2 remaining yarn string and tie a couple of knots with them, just to lock them in place. Okay, and then we're gonna take a yarn needle. Still don't take off the don't cut off the remaining yarn, okay, yarn strings. And this time you're gonna put your yarn, your pink yarn through the, or whatever color you're using for the petals, pink yarn through your yarn needle, and we're gonna create the petals this time, okay? So what you're gonna do, if you turn this over, so for big flowers like this, there you go. For, ooh, my stash of chocolate is showing. For big yarn like this, I mean big flower like this, I usually do 5 petals versus 4. So what you're gonna do with your yarn, working yarn coming from the bottom, you're gonna position it over the flower and get your needle through the center from the top, okay? This is to create that indentation or the, all right, too many interruptions today, sorry about that. So you inserted your needle through the center on top and pull your yarn to cinch this part where you lay down your working yarn to make your first petal, okay? Again, pull. Let me unfocus this a little bit. There you go. Pull the pink yarn until you make that indentation right there. So that's the first one. Now you want to stretch this out a little bit and kind of estimate. Don't forget, you're going to divide this into 5 sections. So I kind of estimate it only. I don't measure it. Doesn't have to be perfectly even. No flowers, I think, have perfectly even petals. So same thing. From the bottom, you position your yarn, your working yarn on top, and then insert where you want your indentation, and then insert your needle through the center on top again. And then, there you go, cinch. Ooh. This yarn is so soft, so I have to kind of guide it. Okay, so that's the first petal after the second indentation, right? So you just repeat the process until you've made 6 petals, okay? And if you think you did not position that yarn the right way, you can always gently just pull it and reposition it, okay? Right now I think it's in the right position. I'm just gonna cinch it right there. All right, now we're gonna find the next spot, which I think is about here. Position your yarn, insert your needle through the center on top. Oopsie. And I'm actually making these flowers for my next project, which you will soon see posted on my channel. It's another big project. That's why it's taking me so long. Oops. To post another video. But I just decided I should post a video how to make the squares before I post that big project. It's fun making the squares too. You can make so much, there's so much things you can put on top of that square. I know it's not exactly the same as the crochet kind, but hey, this is quicker, right? And you still get the design that you prefer or that you want. especially if you're making this as a gift and you don't have enough time, or like during Christmas time, I had so many people on the list. Some of them I had to change what I'm supposed to make for them because I'm running out of time. Some got lucky and, you know, got the bigger projects. Okay, so that's my last division between the petals. So there you go, we have 5. Ay, so cute. I like this color combination. So what you do next is turn over the flower and just lock your stitches underneath. Or what you can do also is use the other yarn to just tie a knot. It will secure it better. Okay, there you go. And I still would keep these 2 remaining yarn here. I'm not going to cut it off because I will use it later to sew this over the box, or the squares. So it's like this now. Once you you're just going to position it where you want it, at the center, I'm supposed, or yes, but this one is too small for this big square right here. I intentionally made this for this one, the smaller one, and this is actually the same number of rows as this flower right here. Okay, I'm going to make a different pattern for this bigger one. I'll show it to you as well. Okay, let me pause right here. So we've done 1 square, and I actually plan on making a short cardigan with this. Never made one before, so whatever the outcome is, I hope it's nice enough for me to wear it, or for someone else to wear it. But of course I'll share it with you whether it's good or not. Alrighty, let me pause for a minute so I can prepare the next square. Okay, so now I want to do something smaller this time with the 22 pin square. So this I made with 18 rows. Okay, same way you did the other one. You have to use waste yarn and then close the ends by sewing or crocheting, and then remove the waste yarn. Remember, if you use a different type of yarn, different weight of yarn, it'll always change your number of rows. It won't be as square as you want it, or the shape would not be the same. So you have to maybe, this is a trial and error for me as well. So okay, so what I'm trying to do here is to put like a little bow this time on top of the square. So I made a tube with this blue yarn, light blue yarn, 12 rows. Okay, so I just cinched the ends. Okay, and what I'm gonna do this time is get my yarn needle here, close the ends by sewing. You want it flat this time, okay? The tube flat. So just sew the ends, make sure they're closed. Okay, we're not gonna need this yarn on this end again, so we can just hide it and then cut it. Okie dokie. We're gonna do the same with the other end. So this is just one of the simplest things you can do. I really just want to be able to make those squares with the knitting machines. I'm sure there are other ways that are complicated that could achieve the same kind of quality as if you're crocheting, but it would take a lot of time, and like I said, it's gonna be complicated, complex. I'm not ready for that yet. Hopefully in the future. Okay, so we close this end as well. Oopsie. Okay, and then we hide your yarn and cut the remaining yarn string. Okay. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is fold it like this in the middle. And with your remaining yarn string, find the middle, find the center, which is about right here. Okay, right here. And you're gonna make running stitches across the center of the tube. Okay. And make sure your needle goes through both layers of the tube. Okay. Good. All right. So just pull it enough where you have a little bit of yarn left on the lower part of the tube. And then we can cinch it. We're making a bow, remember? A ribbon. So what you want to do is just, with this part right here, I want you to cinch the center with that yarn and try to make it go around the center to make it cinch a little bit more. Okay, sorry, I keep moving away from the camera. And then we tie it up as tight as we can. Okay, so far this is what our bow looks like. Okie. Okay, so let's hide this yarn right here, the shorter one, and then we'll keep the other one. Okay, not cute? Okay, if you find that this is too simple, you can always like maybe sew around it and, you know, make like accent stitches around it. If not, if you're okay with this, then all you need to do is stick it on there. However you like it sticking on your square. I like it horizontal or tilted like that. Okay, and you just sew it onto the square. Okay, just make sure as much as possible I don't want anything underneath showing underneath, so you can hide your yarn in between the rows. Oh my goodness, I keep moving away from the camera. Okay, doesn't have to be too flat on the square because we want it like we planned a 3D granny square. Okay, there's so much you can do. You can make a heart, you can make a star, you can even make faces of animals. I'm gonna make one later for the big square that we made in the beginning. This is pretty thick, so it's not easy. I mean, if you prefer it to be flatter, you can do that too. And now that I'm looking at it, I actually find that it is quite plain. So after you sew it at the center, just lock your stitches in the back and hide your stitches, hide your remaining yarn. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Whoops. So far we have made 2 squares, just different sizes, right? Or you can maybe put like an accent embroidery at the center to make it a little bit nicer. It's hard to appreciate it when it's one square, you know. It's much nicer when it's a combination of a lot of squares. You know, like when you're creating a scarf or something like that, or a hat. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause this because I'm going to get ready for the last, for this one, for what we're going to do for here. I'm actually going to do a little octopus for this big one, okay? Well, not little because it's going to be somewhat big. Alrighty. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. This time we're going to do the, like I promised, the octopus on top of the square, okay? So let's set this aside for now. And what I did is I made another tube consisting of a total of 30 rows. This will be the front, the pink side, and this will be the back side, okay? So I made 12 rows of the pink ones, and then you're going to switch to the purple one, and you're going to make 18 rows. All right, and after taking it out of the machine, you're going to just cinch the pink side of the tube. Okie dokie. So we're just going to close this. Now, every time I make a pattern, it's more of a trial and error for me. So if it doesn't work, I have to redo it again. Okay, so let me get my yarn needle here. And I'm using the yarn that I used for this one is a weight category 4. So, well, if you're going to use category 4 of yarn weight for your square, you want to make sure you're going to use the same amount of weight or same weight for the design that you're going to make. Okay, so I'm just closing this end. I've never done an octopus before, so oopsie, I think I accidentally got this cut. Hang on. Not good. Okay. So just make sure that this end is close. Ever since I started doing these video tutorials on YouTube, I find myself talking to myself whenever I'm doing a project. As if I'm doing a tutorial too. My husband thinks it's crazy. All right. So after you close this side or this end of the tube, the pink end, you're going to insert your needle through the center. Pull the needle with the yarn, of course. Turn it over. And so we're just going to make a pancake. I always call this the pancake. All right. You're going to make sure that this yarn string is out of the tube. And then we cinch the other end. So we're making a pancake. A flat pancake. Colorful one too. Okay. So let's use both of these remaining yarn string to make a couple of knots to secure the shape of the tube or the pancake. Okay. All right, and when you turn it over, it should look like this. So as you can see, one side is the edges are purple. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I should like maybe do, or I'll do it later. Okay, ignore me. I'm just like, again, I'm talking to myself. All right, so let's keep these remaining yarns in the back. Let's not cut it for now, okay? So let's set this aside. Another part that we needed to make are the tentacles. Since we're making an octopus, we're gonna make 8 tentacles. So I made the I-cords. If you're not familiar with how to make an I-cord, you can either make this with your Addi egg. But if you don't have the Addi egg, I have one, but I prefer to use my 22 Addi, just because it's not as thick as the one made by the egg. Okay, so I made 4 I-cord, consisting of 15 rows. Okay, and then I made another set of I-cord, set of 4, consisting of 12 rows. Okay, and then lastly, I'll show you later what this is for. You also have to make, with your purple yarn, another I-cord consisting of 20 rows. Okay, all right, so let's do this together, because like I said, this is my first time making an octopus using a pancake. Hang on. Let's see. All right, so what I really planned on doing with this is to, with the tentacles, just alternately, you're gonna saw it onto the lower half of the pancake. So you're gonna put one with 15 row, then alternate it with a 12 row. I'm just trying to see what it would look like and how I'm gonna spread it out through. There you go. Right. So alternately with the 12 and 15 row I-cords. All right, where am I now? Short one. So I guess I may need to move it a little further to the side, to the left, just to make sure that the 8 tentacles fit. Okay. You know, I wanted to end both sides with a 15 row. So what we can do is we're going to do 15 on each side, alternate it with the 12, alternate it with the 15, and then at the center do 2 12s. Okay, I'm gonna show it to you again so you don't get confused. All right, so let's get our yarn needle, starting with the 15. Well, first what you need to do is choose the side that you want, the yarn that you want to use. You want to use the longer yarn at one end of your I-cord. So the other end, you just want to lock your stitches and secure this end and hide your remaining string. Okay. Just do a couple there and just hide it, weave it through the I-cord, and then you can cut it. Be careful not to cut the I-cord itself, okay? All right. So we got one. So we're going to use this long yarn end, yarn string. And so we're going to be using this parts right here as, you know what, I just noticed that I probably have missed something here. See that right there? So if you want to hide it, see, no one's perfect. If we want to hide it, I'm just gonna put it right here where we will be putting all our tentacles. Okay, glad I saw that first. So this is the center right now. Here's the center. Okay, you want to use the lower half. Okay, so you're gonna want to put it right here, maybe like about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows to the side, okay, for your first tentacle. All right, so let's do, you're just gonna sew it right there. So around, along the center and 5 rows to the side. Doesn't have to be sewn too tight. As long as you've secured it, you're good. Okay, so that's one. Lock your stitches in the back. Okay. And you can also do this the other way. Like if you want the purple one in front, then you're going to have to make more rows of the pink one, okay? All right. Then we're going to take one of the short tentacles, 12 row tentacles, and we're going to close this end right here by sewing it. Oopsie. Okay, and then hide your yarn, weave it through the I-cord, and then cut it. All right, so now we have the shorter one. This time we're gonna position it right here, okay? So if you look at them together, they're uneven, which is, they're even, like you're gonna sew it evenly, like across this, or right beside the first one, but at the bottom it'll be uneven. Okay, all right, so we get this through the needle, and we're just gonna, wait a minute, I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Okay, it doesn't have to be too close to each other. Just close, we're back to doing a 15 row tentacle. So I just close this in, and I'm hiding my yarn now, weaving it through the I-cord. Okay, and then we're gonna cut it without actually cutting the I-cord. That'll be a disaster if we do that. That means I have to make another one. And like I said, I'll make sure I will share the link on how to make I-cords with your Addi 22, or even with your Addi King or Sentro. A lot of good tutorials by other YouTubers on how to do this, how to make I-cords, okay? So you're just going to continue doing that, closing one end of the tentacles and using the other end and sewing it onto the body of the octopus. At the center, you're going to attach 2 of the shorter tentacles, the 12 row ones. So for the next 2 ones, it'll be the shorter ones, okay? I'm just going to continue attaching these tentacles, and the next one should be the 12 row one, the short one. Just going to continue with the 12 row, the 15 row, another 12 row, and another 15 row, and then I will show you what to do next. All right, I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop it here for now, and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. So now all the tentacles are on, and I have a little, remember the purple one that I made? So this is just to cover this top edge where we attach all our tentacles. Doesn't have to be straight. I want you to kind of curl it around the edges. Not around, but kind of make like a ruffle out of it, you know? Something like that. All right, just to cover it. And then, so same thing, you want to close. Actually, I have enough length on this side of the yarn to just attach this end through here. Okay, and then just maybe just do some running stitches along the length of the purple I-cord. And again, it doesn't have to be straight. Okay. Okay, pull it gently. All right. I'm gonna try to go all the way to the end with a short yarn, but I think it's enough. Okay. And then when you reach this end, you can tie both yarn strings together. Okay. Excuse the background. That's just another one of my pets. Looks like someone came in. Oh, here you go. Okay. And we can use this other yarn tail to saw it a little bit more, make sure it's securely in place. Okay, let's hide the short one. Okie dokie. And hide it underneath. Okay. And then we're going to use this to just kind of reinforce what we already did. Make sure it's secured. It's secure. And of course, you can use, if you don't like the color that I use, feel free to change it. What's important is whatever weight of yarn you use for the granny square, you're going to need to use the same for your decoration or for the design that would go on top of it. Ooh, hang on. All right, so there we made kind of a ruffle on top of the tentacles. Okay, now all we need to do, let me just lock it here and hide the yarn tail. It's a little bit of a mess on the back, but don't worry, it's not going to show once you attach it to the granny square. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we're going to grab a black yarn just to create the eyes, right about just a couple of rows away from the center and above the tentacles that we created. Okay, let's see, where is my black yarn? Here we go. I would also double your yarn strings in making this simple eye embroidery. There's really no specific way in doing this. All you really want to do is create like 2 big dots to create the eyes. Okay. The only thing about this as compared to a crocheted one, of course, when you crochet, this would be really flat. As you can see, this has some ruffling on top. So when you create the eye embroidery, make sure that it's not in between any of these curling, so it would still show. So from the center, we want to go just maybe 2 rows up, and maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 rows to the side. Oh, 5 columns to the side. Okay. So from the back, you can start from the back. Okay, just leave a tail there. And just do your embroidery. So I just try to make stitches in the same spots until it creates a big dot. And that's why I use double yarn strings, so it'll be more visible and you don't have to go back and forth many times. See, if you're satisfied with that, then you're good. If not, you can do a little bit more. It's hard to make a real perfect round eye unless you're an expert on embroidery. I really am not. But I plan to learn. Okay. Oopsie, I hope I didn't mess that up. All right, so we can hide our yarn at the bottom. There's our first eye. Ah. And then just try to make another one right across it. Again, maybe 2 rows from the center. 1, 2, and then like 5 columns. 2, 3, 4. Okay. And you can use the same yarn. You don't have to take it out or cut it. And when you embroider, just make sure with this particular project to go all the way, your needle goes through the 2 layers of the tube. Just to keep it flat. Oh, that was quick. I already got it. All right. Try to do it in different direction to create a round eye. Maybe one more. There you go. All right, so you turn it around, or turn it over, and just lock the stitches in the back. Lock and hide. Well, there you go. Oops, there goes my needle. All right, so now we have an octopus. I hope it looks like an octopus to you guys. Let me see here if I could lift this up. All right, now to attach this, it's gonna go look like that. It's up to you if you want to attach it like really flat on the square, or if you want to leave the edges up to make it more like 3D, you know, those 3D squares. I would, for this particular one, because it's so big, I'd probably do some blind stitches around here just to keep this part flat, and just what do you call this, maybe a few stitches down here at the center. Okay, so let me try that. Let me retrieve my needle here. And some of you probably might not like the color that I chose to use here. I just wanted to make sure that there's enough contrast here to show you the details of the project. This would be a nice one if you're like making a kid's poncho, or it might be a little big. So if you have like a lighter yarn, you can do that. For my next project, I'll be using a number 3 weight yarn and to make a cardigan, a short one. Okay, so I decided to do blind stitches above the purple area. So I used the remaining yarn string here. Again, we're doing blind stitches. If you're not familiar with that kind of sewing stitch, I can add that to the links down below, so you can watch how it's done. It's basically, you're just almost like running stitches, but you don't, you seem to hide your the yarn in between the rows or the columns here. Okay. Huh. Can you see that? Okay. Try to. And you can do this 1 or twice around to make sure it's secure. But just for the purpose of showing you how it's done, I'm only going to make it 1 round, okay? And then as much as possible, I try not to let it go through the back of this square. Just because if we're going to use this as part of a clothing, we don't want like stitches poking onto our skin, you know? So keep it hidden in between the different layers of your work here. So continue going around. I think the tentacles are already good enough where it should be, so you don't have to sew that onto the square. You just want to make sure the pancake or the body of the octopus itself is attached to the square. Okay, oops. Where were we? Where did we start? Oh, right there. Okay. A few more stitches here. Okie dokie. One more. All right. Okay, so let's just, instead of doing your locking your stitches from behind the box or the square, I would do it like right under here, under the pancake, so it's nice and neat behind the granny square. Okay, and you can just hide the rest of your yarn here and cut it. Okay, there you go. I think it's flat enough already and it's not gonna fall. Let me raise this up. It's cute. Looks like a mean octopus though, because of all this ruffling. All right. Oh, I forgot about this string here. Maybe we can use this string to, this remaining yarn, to maybe just do a little bit of stitches at the center. Make sure it doesn't, I don't think it will, but just to be sure, we can do that. Let's see here. All right. So I'm gonna do it from here. Remember, we don't want any stitches behind the square, so we're just trying to hide all our stitches and yarn here above and through the center. Okay, so you can hide your yarn here at the bottom, maybe under these tentacles. I almost said a different word. Oopsie. Okay. All right, and just lock them right here where it can't be seen. Okie dokie. And then cut it. And there we go. That's it. We have our octopus. Our 3D octopus granny square. Can you see it? Let's see. All right. There we go. All right, and just to show you what we've done with the others, we have like a bow for that small one, flower, cutie cutie, and let me pause this real. All right, so when they're together, all the squares and the decorations that I made, they really look pretty. And you will soon see that when I create the cardigan that I'm talking about as my next project. And actually, I also made a pillowcase in the past. Okay, let me move this. And I made more than, can you imagine? This was made by a circular knitting machine. If you want to learn how to make this pillowcase, just shoot me a message or make a comment on this video. I have yet to make more of these. So far, I've made one for a throw pillow. I used how many colors? 1, 2, just 3 colors for this. And to find out how I was able to make it square, it's actually circular in the middle, but I was able to connect them and make them look like they're squares. Watch out for my next few videos, okay? Well, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. More videos soon. More granny squares, or I should probably say mommy squares, because these are really not granny squares. Okay, aren't they cute? Alrighty, this would be actually cuter in a smaller square. This is just way too huge for me, but I really just want to show you your options. Alright, thank you again for watching. I'm gonna say the spiel. Subscribe, like, check the notification bell, or click it. You know the drill. I appreciate everything that you written in the comments in my past videos. Thanks again, And watch out for my next few videos, okay? Thank you.